ontogeny.
All right, there we go. Let's see if that did it. Can you see or hear me right now, chat? Thank you, Lenina. Beautiful. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Sorry I'm a little bit late today, but I had to go run a few errands for Jim, who had to go run a few errands himself. So, anyway, live broadcast, anything can happen. Welcome to wild and today windy, very hot and dry eastern Utah. We're out digging dinosaurs once again. This is what, day 12 of our field work out here? Maybe 13 if you count travel days. But I'm out here with the Utah Geological Survey, out kind of near the town of Moab, out in the eastern Utah desert. And we are once again digging up dinosaurs, live on stream. I'll take you down to the quarry in just a few minutes, but yeah, first, for the benefit of anybody who might be new, plus anybody who might be watching this video later on in the VOD or on YouTube, welcome. Let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm here on Twitch trying to do some science outreach. And what does that mean, science outreach? Well, I think all too often as scientists, we have sometimes neither the resources nor the time nor the inclination to really talk to regular folks, to showcase the work that we do, you know, to try and make things accessible to the general public. I've been really lucky in the sense that I actually make my living doing science outreach. Twitch, this platform has allowed me the opportunity to do that, and this is how I pay my bills. And it's summertime, and as a dinosaur paleontologist, I'm out in the field digging up dinosaurs. And I get to share it with you, and I think that's super awesome. I hope you think so too. Anywho, we're going to get down to the quarry in just a minute, but let's see. First, some background info. Maybe preempt some questions that we might get. What kind of dinosaur are you digging up? How do you know it's new? So this is an iguanodont dinosaur from the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation, about 142 million years old. The very, very beginning of the Cretaceous period, and just that alone almost guarantees that it'll be new, just because these particular rocks are older than dinosaurs have ever been named from before in North America. But also, this is our third year digging in this particular quarry here. So we've already got hundreds of bones out of the ground, back to the laboratory. They've already been cleaned and studied, and we've got every indication that this is going to be a new critter. Doesn't have a name yet, but that'll probably come in a couple years once Karen Poole gets around to publishing on it. She's our iguanodont expert who was in the quarry with us earlier in the summer. Was that last week? It feels like longer ago. Anyway, exciting stuff. I'll be showing you kind of how we do our excavation here, and any questions at all that you have, well, it's my job to answer them for you. So, welcome to Paleontologizing. And let's see, doesn't look over a day over 136 million years. Thank you, Ricadactylus. Yeah, good stuff. And it is Monday, so last week wasn't that long ago. True, Claire, true. I guess it was last Tuesday, I think, that we dropped off Karen in Green River so she could go back to Arkansas and get ready for another year of teaching. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. By the way, you might be wondering, how in the world can you broadcast from the middle of nowhere, Utah desert? Well, it's via satellite. So there's the dish over there. I've preemptively laid the router over so it doesn't fall over. And there's our solar panels and solar battery. And then it's a little sparse in the quarry today. We just had 3 crew members who left right before stream started. That's why I'm a little bit late. I was helping them out. But we got Fisher, Ethan, and Phil in the quarry today. And holy cow, there's a ton of bones over here that Ethan's been working on getting out, which is pretty exciting. And then Fisher and I have been toiling over here and not really finding much of anything. I've not found a single bone since yesterday. And that area's starting to peter out. So I'm going to have to move to a new spot pretty soon here. Or maybe we'll take this quarry wall back. We'll do some overburden tomorrow or something. We'll figure it out. But, man, are there more bones still to be found here. Just probably not in that particular area. But, yeah. And this month has gone so fast as well, 6-2. Yeah, we've been out here, 12 days so far?
Already, 2 weeks about it.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
When you're having fun.
Definitely. Yeah, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
We drove out here.
13 days so far.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah. You want to talk a little bit about what you got going over here, Ethan?
Yeah, so I just pulled out a hip bone from a baby iguanodont.
Ooh, that ilium?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then this big tree branch looking thing is a femur or thigh bone.
Yeah, the biggest bone in the body.
And it's still diving into the hill a bit, so it's going to be probably 20% longer than it looks here.
Shoot.
And so the part that fits into the hip is still buried under where
femoral
my foot
head
is
right there, yeah.
And then the muscle attachment for this big muscle that pulls the leg back is this guy right here. It's fourth trochanter.
The caudo-femoralis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is we have a femur from this site that is probably 2.5 times bigger than this.
Holy cow.
So
these animals got pretty darn big.
They do get really big. The vast majority of them seem to be immature.
Yeah.
Or at least just not even close to full size.
Nice.
But yeah, this is a good sized individual.
And it's so cool that we've got different growth stages from the same quarry. I mean,
Totally.
That's not something you can say for a lot of dinosaurs, so that makes this pretty special.
Depths.
Yeah.
And under here, Don has another femur of almost certainly from a smaller individual.
Nice.
But that's covered in plaster currently.
Very cool. Yeah. Got some wind, which if it stays at this level, it'd actually be really nice. but it'll probably pick up and die down like it always does. Such a annoying thing sometimes. Yeah. Cosmological Kev says that is a great hat. Yes.
It's not big enough, unfortunately.
If anybody has a larger hat, they could send Ethan. Don't hesitate. A water bottle. And let me grab the thermometer too, because we're already getting questions about the temperature. Ooh. Nice and cool. Oh boy. I've been saving my ice water all day until the stream, so yeah. It's gonna be nice to break into that. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I will set this down over here. And yeah, why don't we put the camera over here too? See if this will work. If we still get signal. Feels a little precarious, but I think it'll hold for now. Alright, and since Ken just left, I can work into his area too. So, expand outward a little bit. This is nice. Yeah, good stuff. Ever dig up fossils that are still alive? That's pretty impossible there, F. Mike, but we do sometimes find, you know, fossorial or otherwise ground-dwelling critters in the quarry, especially when we come back in the morning. Might find scorpions and stuff like that. Had one the other day that was pretty feisty. And had a sulfugid, like a wind scorpion, in here too. Yeah. Today might be kind of a more quiet sort of stream, especially with Jim out running errands right now. So, any questions that you guys have got, please don't be hesitant about those. Yeah. Fisher's bucket too. Alright. Game Over says, where's Don? Don is on his way back to Salt Lake. He's going to be doing, I think, taking some time off and also doing some work from the office. He'll come back on Saturday. So, yeah, our crew is rapidly shrinking. But, Don will be back. And Jim will be back this evening, too. Alright. And how are the ants today? I've not really seen many ants today. So they've been making themselves scarce lately. I don't know why. It's just how it is for them today, I guess. Anyway, how have you been, chat? Hope everything's been going well. And I had to check. Today is Monday. It's kind of easy to forget what day of the week it is out here because it's all the same. Weekday, weekend, we're out here digging. Although there's something that's exciting coming up on Wednesday, day after tomorrow. Jim has organized things with Rob Gaston of Gaston Designs. So Rob Gaston does all of these, molds and casts of fossil critters. Lots and lots of museum displays Rob Gaston's created. He's one of the best in the world. We're going to be visiting his workshop in Fruita, Colorado on Wednesday. And I'm going to try and stream that. So that's going to be a ton of fun. So don't miss that one. It's going to be awesome.
Well, I mean, we got to get it anyway, so.
And we see a lot of critters around the Utah desert, like tarantulas and tarantula hawk wasps. The former, no. The latter, yes. I've not seen a single tarantula in 3 years out here, but I've seen lots of tarantula hawk wasps, and I've photographed a number of them, put them on iNaturalist and stuff. They're pretty cool critters. So big old robber flies and like big raptorial insects like that. I saw a dragonfly the other day. Which is odd, because I normally associate dragonflies with wetter environments. What's your favorite bug you've seen out here so far, Fisher?
Favorite bug? I don't think I've seen any hemipterans. To give like the really annoying nerd answer.
Wait, hemipterans, different from hymenopterans.
Hemipterans.
Hemipterans. Don't tell me. You really like those tiny gnats that bite you, but you can't see them.
No, they're just true bugs.
Oh, with sucking mouth parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hemipterans?
Hemiptera, I think.
Huh. So it'd be like, are assassin bugs part of that group?
Yes.
Yeah.
Aphids, stink bugs.
Gotcha.
Diving beetles or diving water skaters. Actually, I think diving beetles are beetles.
Yeah, those are coleopterids. Yeah.
But the water skaters.
Yeah.
Or water striders or hemipterans. But let's see, my favorite arthropod. And the scorpions are pretty fun.
Yeah.
I like the hornets too. That we get on occasion.
Oh yeah, those giant. Shoot, what was that? Cicada killer. Hawk wasp moose moth.
Yeah. Muskox
wasp.
moth.
And wasp was in there twice, I think. But yeah.
Cicada killing muskox moose moth, hawk wasp, or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, and shoot, we got a raid from Octavius King. Well, or rather just Octavius. Welcome, Octavius, to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. We're having a fairly chill stream today, just digging up some iguanodontian dinosaurs. And, here. Fisher, can I show everyone the jacket that you made?
Go ahead.
All right. Fisher even did some jacket art on there. Very nice. So we've got a vertebra in there from an iguanodont dinosaur. And, 229 already. Holy cow.
I think we started at like 160 this year or something like that.
Yeah, shoot. So we've got, in a couple days we'll have over 100 specimens already collected. That is pretty impressive. We're just wrapping another one up right now. Same specimen or a different one?
The one up.
Oh, nice, yeah. The one that you think might be
Astragalus or something like that.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. And let me see, there was another long question earlier. Let me track that down and try and answer it. Put this over here. Try and keep that out of the microphone. The fan on the encoder can be a little loud, especially with as sensitive as this microphone is.
Sure, you know where he went?
He went back to camp to grab more toilet paper. This is our last roll.
Alright, that should be good for now, I hope. It's a little precarious, but we'll see. And a third question from Ghost Pilot. Thank you, Claire Burr. What has proven to be a greater obstacle in the field, weather, landscape, or the critters? I would say probably the camera falling over, actually. Let's see. There we are. Okay, that should do it. Weather, landscape, or the critters? Weather, I would say. There's hardly any critters out here, really. It's kind of astonishing just how few animals we see out here in this particular valley. It's so dry out here. We'll go days and days without seeing a single bird, like all day, even though we're outdoors all day long. I don't know, we do get various insects and other arthropods visiting the quarry, but not nearly as many as we saw out in Wyoming. It's just a much drier spot right here. And so, with less moisture, you just have fewer living things. Yeah. And, you picture like a teeming coral reef with just all kinds of fishes and arthropods and other invertebrates, anemones and corals and all this stuff like that. This area is not like that. For one, it's a bit more dry than a coral reef. Yeah, there's less water here, for one thing. So yeah, I don't know. The critters that we do encounter are feel pretty special. We've seen some lizards lately, which has been really neat. That little juvenile, like, leopard lizard that came into camp last night. That was pretty neat, too. Yeah. And it's a little fauna and no flora around. There's some plants, a phoenix, but just not very many. They tend to be very scrubby. Yeah. Anyway, the other questions... How do you store your supplies? Big truck with a cooler and a huge fresh water tank? No. So we've got kind of, picture, what are they, like 9-gallon water containers? Picture like a big gas jerry can. We've got a bunch of those that we fill with water and then we take them back to camp. And we do have a little trailer over there, but, yeah, it's mostly just for hauling things around. And then we've got a little kind of, I wouldn't say mini fridge, but a small propane-powered refrigerator / freezer in there, too. And that is actually a real luxury to have out here. To be able to have, a cold drink at the end of the day is pretty awesome. But apart from that, live a pretty Spartan existence out here. One hot meal a day. Yeah. Out here in the desert. Yeah. Do you ever work in rivers or creeks? Not here in Utah, but certainly do in other parts of the country and around the world. I was actually in a creek bed in California a few months ago finding some fossils. Dry creek bed. And I'll hopefully be doing some more of that when I get back. This autumn. But we'll see. More commonly, you might use rivers or creeks out here in Utah for screen washing fossils. For like taking a bunch of matrix, like all of this, rock that might have little microfossils in it. You take big samples of that, and you put it in these screen boxes, and you it's almost like panning for gold, I guess, if we're trying to make an oblique analogy. And you can use the water to kind of sieve through that, get rid of the surrounding rock, and all the grit and everything, and then just kind of find the fossils inside. There's a paleontologist who's really well known for doing that over in the Mustn't Touch It member of the Cedar Mountain Formation. Rich Cifelli found, I don't know how many different species doing that. Something like 70 or 80 different species of mostly small critters. Amphibians and lizards, mammals, and fishes and stuff like that. Oh boy. Over there? Okay, yeah. Never a dull moment. Ground seems awful soft. Shoot. That's better. Thanks, Phil. Too far. And Spiritual Thinks says, any dinosaur? Yeah, we've got almost 100 different bones and other elements of our iguanodont dinosaur so far, just from the past 12 days, which is pretty exciting. Let me kind of show you more or less. There we go. So, this is a skeletal drawing of Iguanodon bernisartensis. This is a dinosaur from the same family as the one that we're digging up here. This one is from Belgium, and I think it's been found in other parts of Europe as well. Ours is probably a little bit smaller than this, and it's about 20 million years earlier than this guy, but it's generally the same kind of critter. You've got these long back legs, and then kind of shorter front legs. These guys probably walked around on all fours most of the time, but if they wanted to, they could just rear up on those hind legs and run. They could walk on all end of the Cretaceous period. These guys came first, and duckbills seem to have evolved from them. So if we look at our dinosaur family tree right here, dinosaurs start right here. You got your lizard-hipped dinosaurs, Saurischians. Birds evolved from those guys. And then confusingly enough, you have your bird-hipped dinosaurs on the other side. And there's Parasaurolophus, a big duckbill dinosaur. It's one of the ornithopods. And so our iguanodont is like a... Shoot, if this Parasaurolophus is like 75 million years old, something like that, then our guy's about 142, so like, yeah. It's a solid 30 million years older than this guy. Wait, 30 million? No, 70 million. Shoot. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, I hope that gives you some kind of perspective on what we're doing here. rock to it or something, probably a bad idea, because if the wind does pick it up, it's going to send that rock flying. That's going to be dangerous. If we had some like more consolidated ground here, we could just run a line from there and stake it down, but I think all this stuff is too loose for that. Just cross our fingers the wind doesn't get too strong.
Yeah.
Hey Lordy, I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the air conditioning back home. We're experiencing some nice cool weather here under the tarp. Only 98 degrees in the shade. Could be a lot worse. Alright. We've got 369 people watching. Nice. Let me know if anybody new has got any questions in particular. You sent anyone on the ice cream run, Monkey Boy? Jim is actually out running some errands right now. He's going to bring us back some ice and some... What else did we ask for? Flintstone's chewable morphine.
On the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, last time.
Something happened with the encoder. No, it's just the Starlink acting up. What is up with that? Yeah, I think that's just the Starlink being finicky. Let me take a look at it. Anywho, yeah. Sounds like Ethan's back too. Kennedy says, which dinosaurs are being worked on here? We've got our new iguanodont dinosaur.
I think there was some talk about theropod material this morning.
Yeah. Earlier, Jeff found what looks kind of like an ankle bone, an astragalus, maybe from a meat-eating dinosaur. That part of the quarry over there, kind of where Phil is sitting, has been, in past years, has yielded some bits of theropod, of like two-legged meat-eating dinosaur. We know that there's a big Carcharodontosaur type dinosaur in this environment. We found teeth from it. But we haven't found a lot of skeletal remains, so maybe if we want to find more of it, we might have to work in that direction. And who knows, I might end up over there if this peters out, because... Yeah. We'll figure it out soon.
Thanks, bud.
Alright. Got some TP, aka loo roll. Those of you from the UK. Oh, and from Gearit, thank you, Lordy, for reposting that. I'm new around here, so just a basic question. What made you decide to get into this area of study/work? Well, shoot. When I was a real little kid, I wanted to grow up to be a dinosaur. And that didn't really work out, so this is the next best thing, you know? No, honestly, though, I've always wanted to work on dinosaurs. Always wanted to be a dinosaur paleontologist, and I've been lucky enough to be able to pursue that. So, here we are. I think Ethan's got kind of a similar story, too. He's really, really into dinosaurs early on in life, and he still is. Now he's, not just studying dinosaurs, not just digging them up, but also leading expeditions. Like in Wyoming, back in June, we were all out there, Ethan and Fisher, digging up new dinosaurs in the Almond Formation. It's been pretty cool. And yeah, Fisher's been interested in fossils for a long time too.
Yep.
Fisher's kind of more on the mammal side of things. But yeah, he'll settle for some dinosaur work too. That's why he's here.
Climb down the evolutionary ladder if he has to.
He will debase himself. Work on dinosaurs.
I mean, experience is experience. And I honestly can't complain. I love being in the field.
Yeah.
Lower himself to the status of a reptile.
Reptile.
Those primitive reptiles.
Those dysfunctional reptiles.
It is crazy the way that people talked about dinosaurs back in pre-1960s days. Even through the 1960s. Yeah. And PaleoStream, how are you doing? Thought he was born with that beard? No. I've only had a beard since high school. Yeah. No joke. I had a full beard senior year of high school and grew it out for a drama production. Stop shaving and it just, disappears like magic. And I'm Tricky says, what's been your favorite meal in this fieldwork trip? Probably when we went to Green River and Karen bought us all burritos. That was pretty excellent. Yeah.
Our meals aren't very diverse here.
Well, not ours especially. Yeah. The two vegetarians in the crew. We eat a lot of veggie burgers. But that curry was really good too. Jim's curry was excellent.
Curry was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And what percentage of people get into dinosaurs simply because of Jurassic Park? A high percentage, I don't know. What, half, you think?
Sure.
It's been a big influence for sure. Yeah. We should have Jim talk about that at some point. He's like, yeah, overnight the number of dinosaur jobs, number of jobs for dinosaur paleontologists, number of paid gigs that you can get as a dinosaur paleontologist, I should say, like doubled or tripled or quadrupled. He said it used to be 1 or 2 job openings per year for somebody who works on dinosaurs, and now it's goodness, probably about 10 or something. Fluctuates year to year, but Jurassic Park, yeah, definitely helped the public visibility of dinosaur paleontology. This is for sure true, Charlie's Dragon. It's actually a project that I'm working on. I'm trying to find ways to quantify this in a more or less objective way. Like, how much of an influence did Jurassic Park have on dinosaur paleontology from a paleontologist perspective? Like, how much did it bolster our field, make it more possible to actually pursue dinosaur research as a career, that kind of thing. How many jobs did it create? Yeah. And current strategy with the Carthage Institute? Wait, Carthage College, Paleostream? That's Thomas Carr's institution, right? Are they for sure like getting rid of their preparator and all that stuff? Oh boy. And that sounds really cool, actually, Rhacodactylus. We should talk about that. Yeah. Wait, and it's shutting down? You don't mean that they're closing the Dinosaur Discovery Museum in Kenosha, Wisconsin, do you? Like it's partly owned by the city, I think. I want to say it's a municipal museum. It's the only reason I've ever been to Kenosha is to visit that museum. It seems like it would be foolhardy to shut it down. Yeah. Anyhow. And thank you, Amish Andy, for the 31 months. I really appreciate that. I do. Let's see. Oh no, here we go. How are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Welcome to Eastern Utah. Welcome to the Cedar Mountain Formation. Welcome to a real-life dinosaur dig here. I think he's good. I don't know if he can hear you.
Yeah.
He's got headphones in. I don't think that's the same news, Dinosaur Dave, but... Oh, Afraid Program will go extinct. It might be. This is from... Yeah, from a few days ago. The city no longer wants to uphold its promise to fund the prep work, making academic work nearly impossible. Yeah, Paleostream, that's often how it goes. Sometimes it's easier to find funding for doing this kind of thing, for like digging up dinosaurs in the field. It's easy to get people excited about that. It's not always as easy to get people excited about the behind-the-scenes stuff, you know, doing fossil prep work, curation, things like cleaning the fossils back in the laboratory and making sure that, you know, they're properly housed in the museum afterward and all that stuff. It's kind of a perennial problem within our scientific discipline, is like finding money to be able to do that important stuff. The only reason that we're collecting these fossils in the first place, here right now, I mean us, is so that these can go back to the Natural History Museum of Utah. They can get cleaned at the Utah Geological Survey. All these fossils can be prepared and stabilized so that they can, you know, they can be safely housed and studied and, you know, possibly displayed at the museum later on. That work might not be as glamorous as what we're doing out here. It might not be as ostensibly exciting or romantic than field work. it's just as important, you know? And it's really a shame that I guess the city of Kenosha doesn't seem to value that kind of thing. Disappointing. But who knows, maybe they can find some funding somewhere, maybe some kind-hearted person of means will step in and rescue that program, but I don't know. There have been a lot of museums shutting down recently, especially after COVID. It's not encouraging. It's frustrating. It just seems like our society's priorities are all out of whack, you know? And which gets more money for digs, archaeology or paleontology? Archaeology. Probably by a factor of like several hundred. Oh boy, yeah. And we usually get the short end of the stick as paleontologists. Yeah, I'm sure they get funding problems as well, but, you know, it's really not even close. And Net Mensch says, are you allowed to stream lab work? Allowed to, sure. It just doesn't often work out logistically. So I come out here to do work in the field in Utah, but I live back in California. And so most of the year I'm streaming from my office there.
Yeah. You hold this one.
But I did do a lab stream at the beginning of this summer. It was at the end of May. Jim Kirkland and I did a tour of the Utah Raptor Mega Block in the lab facility back in Salt Lake. So you should check out that VOD. Or look up the video on YouTube if you want to see that, because it was pretty awesome. We were also on the front page, so there were like 10,000 people watching. It was pretty cool. It was definitely one of my all-time favorite streams.
Pretty good. That's about as good as I think we can get with this.
Yeah, Phoenix the Archaeologist says, oh, your stick must be pretty short then, because archaeology stick is pretty short already. I mean, we're out here, our budget is like maybe a couple thousand for the summer. And most of that has come through donations from private individuals, I think. Didn't we get some money from UFOP this year, Phil?
Yeah, for food.
For food? Yeah. Yeah, we live pretty frugally out here. And this is all volunteer work, basically. I'm not getting paid to be here. Yeah. And that stream is how I found this channel, says Pyrokitty. Awesome. It's good to have you here. That makes me really happy that you've stuck around after that. Very cool. Yeah. And there were some prep streams from the dueling dinosaurs on YouTube some time ago. Nice, at North Carolina Science Center. That's pretty cool. Who knows, I might be able to do some stuff like that later on this year, but it depends. Yeah, I might have some museum connections developing in the Bay Area later this fall, but can't tell you any details about that yet until it actually pans out. But yeah. Oh, and then again, for anybody who just waltzed in, the day after tomorrow, going to be doing a special stream over in Colorado. Making a little trip over there across the border to go join Rob Gaston of Gaston Designs. So, oh boy. Hang on, hold that thought. I got a tooth here. Where's my soft brush? There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, nice. Kind of blunt on the end, but little theropod tooth. Here, take a look at that, chat. Yeah. Very nice. This is why we look at every single piece of rock that we take out like that. You never know what might be hiding in there. Yeah, check that out. A tooth from a meat-eating dinosaur, probably like, maybe from Yurgavuchia. Little, kind of dromaeosaur type dinosaur that was here. Check that out, Phil.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Looks like the tip may have broken off. I'm going to see if I can find that. Although, that might have been missing beforehand, too. Let's see. Just the very, very tip of it. I'm going to very carefully poke around here. See if I can find that. Might also be under here. I said this with some glue. Can I borrow some glue, Fisher?
I'm like almost out. I've got thick, and
Yeah.
then there might be like a couple drops in one of these.
Yeah, that's all I need. Thanks. We'll see. Yep, that's enough. Thank you.
Alright, let me hear it.
Very nice. I think that's long gone. This is really nice to have. Inside out. This is nice. I'm gonna grab my little water container so I can soften this up. Carve some of this rock off of here to make it smaller, and then we'll get this nice and wrapped. Get it collected. Yeah. Let me see what's going on with this. See if that improves things at all. We're back? Okay, good. Thank you, Lenina. That's good enough. Yeah, let me give you another look at that tooth before I go ahead and wrap this up and get that collected and mapped and everything else. But check that out. 142 million years old, give or take a few. Little meat-eating dinosaur tooth from a, I guess what you could call a raptor dinosaur. Possibly from the ancestor of Utah raptor, who occurs a little bit higher in these rocks. A little bit younger than the dinosaurs that we're digging up here. Pretty awesome. I'm going to take a picture of that too. Very nice. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, let's get this wrapped. Okay, beautiful. Well, it would be nice to kind of have this thing around so we can all admire it. It's also really important to get it protected as soon as possible. That's why I'm wrapping it up so quickly here. So soon after finding it. Potentially a very delicate thing. You don't want it to get lost or stepped on or damaged in any way. Good. Okay, let's get this thing logged. Specimen log clipboard? Yeah. Oh, cool. Thanks.
It's right here.
Yeah. No, can I? Well, is it?
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry.
The map is over there.
Yeah, I accidentally put this map on the log.
No worries. Yeah. I'll stick this on there. Okay. Nice. And Elwell Links is how much metadata, such as precise location, position, facing, etc., get attached to the fossil when removed? I'll show you. Excellent question. So, first we put the specimen onto, well, first we map it, I guess, right here. And then using the coordinate information from our map, fill out some of the fields on our specimen log right here. So this has everything from, you know, specimen number, date, identification, description and sketch, and then location and collector, particular stratigraphic level, all kinds of stuff like that. And we can cross-reference this with the map. All of this stuff gets digitized when it goes back to the Geological Survey in Salt Lake. So we've got both hard copies and digital copies as well. When we're collecting fossils like this, the information about them is just as important as the information that's contained within the fossils oftentimes. Like, it's really cool to have fossils in a museum, but without any data associated with them, they're pretty much scientifically worthless. That's why you gotta make sure that you take really, really good data, because that's what science is all about, you know? We're trying to glean as much information as we can about these ancient ecosystems, and that requires taking note of, you know, stratigraphic position, how the fossils are laid out, all kinds of stuff like that. Gives us a better picture of what was going on in this ancient ecosystem. What kind of environment this was, you know, what was happening to these fossils before they actually, you know, were buried or fossilized, or let alone discovered. All this stuff is really important. Yeah. Okay. So East 98 north. This is 53 east, 100 north. 51 meter from there would be 99 north. It's right there. Okay, lovely. Since this came from right here, it is 30 centimeters away. And then right there. Sheets already. This is specimen number 231. And we started at what? It was like 160 or something?
I think so, yeah.
So we're, yeah, got good 70 specimens so far. now, where I bag this thing up, got to get a specimen tag on it too. Yeah, lovely. Put that in here. And there we are. Yeah. And holy cow, let's see. We got a raid from, oh my goodness, who was this? 362 raiders from Descartes Games. Hello, hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Connor and everybody else, it's good to have you here. Welcome to Eastern Utah. Welcome to the beginning of the Cretaceous period. And welcome to Paleontologizing. Sorry, I didn't see you come in. I was getting this all labeled up. Got a little meat-eating dinosaur tooth in here that I was just logging, collecting data on, so, you know, trying to do things, well, do things the way we do them here. But it's good to have you, everybody. Here, let me go walk around for a minute after I put this away. There. Pick you up. There we are. Yeah, welcome to beautiful, very hot, very dry, and pretty windy desert of eastern Utah, near the town of Moab. It's great to have you here. We are, of course, live streaming a dinosaur dig. I'm working out here with the Utah Geological Survey, and we've got what we have every indication to be a new kind of iguanodont dinosaur that we're digging up. This is our third year working here in this quarry. We've got enough bones out of the ground that we can be pretty certain that this critter is brand new. And we're getting as much of it out of the ground as we can. I say it, we've got, I guess I say it in reference to this particular species. There's a bunch of different individuals. There's like at least 20 of these dinosaurs here in this quarry, all disarticulated, the bones all scattered around. And we're doing our best to document where each of those bones come from as we collect them so that, you know, we've got as much information as possible. That's how we do it in the field. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. That's the whole point of these streams, you know? If you're here for the very first time, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach, you know? Talking to folks about what science is, why it's important, why we need to understand the history of life on Earth, and why dinosaurs are a crucial piece of that. Dinosaurs are what I study in particular. Most paleontologists don't work on dinosaurs. I want to make that very clear from the start. Paleontology is the study of fossils in general. Fossil plants, fossil bacteria, fossil plankton, fossil mammals, fossil fishes, fossil insects, whatever. If it was an organism that lived a long time ago and left record of its existence in the rocks, then there's a paleontologist who studies that. I work on dinosaurs in particular as a dinosaur paleontologist. That's what we're doing here. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense. And, do you find other things other than dinosaurs? S. Fritter, we do. Yeah, we found a bunch of plant fossils in here. Little bits of these tree fern-like plants called Tempskia. So we've been collecting a bunch of those too. Well, we've mostly not been collecting them because they're mostly not diagnostic, but we've been taking note of them and marveling over how cool they are. Even if they are just little chunks of plant crud, it's still important, you know, it still helps show what's going on in this sort of environment. Yeah. And let's see here. Yakko Warner, how are you doing? Welcome back. And the Blood God says, hello, I am Chase, and I found this from a raid and from a friend. I love dinosaurs a lot, but you're in the right place. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Like I said, we've got a brand new dinosaur that we're digging up here, and hopefully in a couple years you'll hear about it. A new kind of iguanodontian from the very beginning of the Cretaceous period. So picture like iguanodon, but make it a lot more Camptosaurus-like, if you're familiar with Camptosaurus. It's a lot earlier in time than iguanodon, like 20 million years earlier. Yeah, pretty excited about that. This could even be a direct descendant of Camptosaurus. I mean, we're still kind of figuring that out. Yeah. Anyway, if anybody's not yet following Descartes Games, you know, check them out. See if you like games. And I have an inkling that some people here on Twitch do like games. Go check out Descartes Games and see if you might want to give them a follow. Thank you again for the raid. I really appreciate it. And Hey Key says, hey, great to see you again. Likewise. Looking at Utah, what if you find a potential site in a national park? Does it need some permission to set up sites there? Absolutely. You have to talk to the Park Service and get your permits in order. We're working here on a different kind of public land. So this is not private land, this is public property. This belongs to we the people. This land here is administered by the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, which is a federal agency under the Department of the Interior. And they administer the majority of public lands in the United States. And so, yeah, we've had permits from the BLM for years and years and years. And we're continuing in that tradition this year, digging up fossils that belong to we the people. Given that they are from federal U.S. land, they belong to the U.S. public. And that's why all of these fossils that we're digging up are going to the Natural History Museum of Utah. So if an important fossil is found on public land, it needs to go to a public repository that's like, you know, gets the stamp of approval from the federal government. And the Natural History Museum of Utah certainly has that. And yeah, within a few years, hopefully, you'll be able to see some of these fossils on display there in Salt Lake City. It's exciting stuff. And there's no Ministry of Dinosaurs? Unfortunately not, Snapping Neurons, no. There used to be a U.S. Department of Paleontology, but it was dissolved back in the 1890s, I believe. Unfortunately. Yeah. It would be nice to still have that, you know? And are we getting another raid here? Holy cow. Or is that delayed welcome from... Oh, yeah. Gotcha. And Cosmological Kev says, wow, so you think this bone bed is an MNI of 20 now? Yeah, minimum number of individuals. Something like that. That is so cool. A few days ago, Don thought maybe 6. I think that was probably, well... Yeah, we'll have to cross-reference with Jim and Don. They might have different ideas about this. Jim says, oh yeah, at least 24, I think is what he said. I think we've got at least 6 individuals already in the laboratory. And that's MNI like, I think it might be true MNI, where like we might have 6 different left femurs, you know, and each of those dinosaurs only has 1 left femur. But just estimating how many critters are in here, we've probably got a couple dozen, I would imagine. Different sizes, different ages. Yeah. And the Blood God says, this is so cool, I will definitely raid this channel if you stream when I stream. Awesome, Blood God, I appreciate that. Yeah, I typically stream this time pretty much every day in the field, and then 5 days a week, every weekday when I'm back home in my office. Because I'm not out here 365 days a year, unfortunately. Yeah, I do live in a house back in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm not sleeping in a tent every single night of my life. Only about 1/5 of my time do I spend sleeping in a tent. 1/5 of my nights, something like that. 1/5, 1/6. It's like 2 months out of the year. 1/6. Normally I'm back home in my office in the San Francisco Bay Area, and when we do streams there every weekday from about 2 to about 5 or 6 p.m. California time, we're looking at new fossil discoveries, we're going through new scientific papers just published, we're interviewing other paleontologists, we're doing artwork and 3D modeling and 3D printing, and a lot of Q&A, just answering people's questions about dinosaurs in particular, my area of study, but also broader things about natural history in general, about, the history of life on Earth, about the philosophy of science, about all that good stuff. So, tune in when I'm back home in California, too, for those office streams. They're always a lot of fun. Do a lot of special events, too. We're going to have World Whale Shark Day in August, World Tapir Day, Elephant Appreciation Day, all kinds of stuff like that. And then various anniversaries and birthdays of famous paleontologists and stuff like that, too. To talk about, the history, why it's important, why having that perspective is so vital to be a learned person and making good decisions about the future of our planet, too. And let's see. Smirsky says, how do you decide which months you spend in the field? Well, they're the months that people are working out here. It's generally during the summer. There's a number of reasons for that. Part of it is that in this part of the world, there's snow on the ground for at least part of the year, and it gets too cold for digging. A lot of our work is out in the high desert of the Rocky Mountain region, and it gets pretty cold during the winter. So summertime provides a window in which we can get out here and there's not snow everywhere. There's not frigid temperatures. But a big part of it, too, is the academic calendar. So many of our volunteers out here in the field are students. And so they can't come out and volunteer when school is in session. So summer provides us that window of opportunity to come out and do field work. Back in June, I was working with Ethan and Fisher and a number of other paleontologists in Wyoming. I was out there for the entire month of June, live streaming almost every day, too. It was a ton of fun. But we couldn't be out here then because we were in Wyoming. So, all these things kind of, you got to really work on your calendar and figure out what you can do when. And, there's a lot of slotting things into different spots, trying to get everything to fit. Yeah. And a bit windy today? A little bit, Dasher Fernando, yeah. Yeah, not as bad as it's been the past couple days, but it's a bit windy today. And let's see. Thanosra says, do you see woolly mammoth bones? I might in California this fall. We'll see. Maybe we can even stream that. Depends on a few things, if we can get permission to dig in at a Pleistocene site, but stay tuned for that. We might be digging up some mammoths and sloths and ancient horses and camels and stuff like that. Can't give you too many details yet, but yeah. And the Nazir says, did you find any dinosaur bones? Oh, you bet. I'll go walk you around in the quarry in a second, and I'll show you around. And let's see. That's been my favorite dig site, Data 500. This is one of them for sure. This is definitely one of my all-time favorites. Good people. It's always a fun time. We're within walking distance to camp over there, which is just luxurious. We've got a propane-powered fridge and freezer. It's a good time out here. This feels like a vacation after a month of fieldwork in Wyoming, let me tell you. That was a lot of fun too, but it's a different kind of fun. And I don't have to be in charge here either, during any part of the summer, really. So, during any part of our stay here. So that's nice too. No pressure. Yeah. But yeah, I thought you said mammoths and slobs. Some of us might be slobs, Mirth, but sloths, I think, is what I was trying to say. I should have enunciated better. Yeah. And could I make a drawing of you if I tag you on Instagram? Absolutely. The Blood God, yeah. Yeah, go right ahead. My tag is at Paleontologizing on Instagram. That would be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And come across many fossilized plant materials. Yeah, Barnacle Bum. I could show you some in a little bit. I might have some at the ready. We've been finding all kinds of bits of Tempskia, this kind of tree fern-like weirdo plant from the early Cretaceous. It doesn't really look like much, but, you know, you can tell that it's plant. It's got that plantiness to it. And let's see. I think somebody had a question, too, about the percentage of, yeah, Hans Peters. If you'd have to guess, what's the percentage of dinosaurs we still haven't discovered? If you're talking about percentage of dinosaur skeletons, it's like way, way, way less than 1%. If you're talking about the number of dinosaur genera and species, I don't know, it's probably... It depends on how you define genera and species, I guess. Are we talking about chronospecies? Are we talking about, are they only new species if you have cladogenesis occur? Anyway, it's a small minority, you know? I'd say we've probably found less than 25% of the dinosaur species that are out there to be discovered. It might be much less than that, really. Yeah. The important thing, the take-home message, is that there's so much out here still yet to be discovered, even right here in this valley. So we've got a couple of dinosaurs that are named from this particular valley right here, but we've got tantalizing fragments of many more dinosaurs that have not been named yet, because we haven't found good enough material to really warrant describing them as new genera or species. So, for instance, we've got our new iguanodont here that we've been digging up for the past 3 years, and we've also got a big carcharodont dinosaur, carcharodontosaur, excuse me. So, picture like Carcharodontosaurus, Giganotosaurus, or like a supersized Allosaurus, that kind of animal. We've got here too. We know we've got teeth of it, but its bones have proved quite elusive so far. We found a few scraps here in this quarry, maybe one of them today. We had an ankle bone that very well might be from one of these guys, just collected today. But yeah, you know, and there will be other dinosaurs in here too that, you know, we've got what we think is a therizinosaur. We've got what could be a new ankylosaur in here too. There's a whole fauna in here that we've only really named 1 or 2 members of so far. Like Yurgavuchia and Merasaurus are some of our only named dinosaurs from this particular valley, but we've definitely got more, which is exciting. And does humidity cause fossil decay? It can, especially if the fossils have pyrite disease. If they're infused with iron pyrite, then humidity can mess them up pretty bad. Yeah. And Troodon named... Yeah, so Troodon formosus was named by was named by Joseph Leidy in... what is that? 1859, I think? 1856? It was in the 1850s. He named it based on a single tooth. He thought it was a lizard. Yeah. That's a story for another time, though. We'll probably do a special stream on Troodon at some point. Or Troodon, as many members of this community are fond of calling it. It's a long story. Inside joke. Yeah. And anyway, I said Ferdinand because it was Ferdinand Vandiver Hayden who collected the specimen in the Judith River Formation of Montana back in, I think, 1854. Something like that. And then Joseph Leidy, America's first paleontologist, named it. And yeah. And let's see, Hans Peter says, can you talk us through the process of finding dinosaur bones and finally getting them displayed at some museum? You know what? I can do that. Let's do that now. So, imagine that you're part of a paleontological crew. You're a volunteer, you're working with some paleontologists out here, and you're walking along this landscape. How do you find dinosaurs in the first place? Well, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Ugh. God bless me. Let me start that over. So, imagine that you are a volunteer on a dinosaur dig crew like this. You're working with some paleontologists, and you come out here to this valley. You've come out here because you know by looking at geological maps, these rocks are of exactly the right age to have dinosaur fossils in them. We know this is the very beginning of the Cretaceous period, about 142 million years ago. This is scientifically important. Almost anything you find here stands a good chance of being new. You're in good hunting grounds. You're in the right spot. So once you get here, you do what we call prospecting. So that involves walking along and staring at the ground, looking at anything unusual, like, oh, what is this? Oh, you know, that is definitely not a fossil. It's unusual, but, you know, some like quartzy stuff. Let's put that back, some chert. What's this over here? Well, that's way too light to be a rock. That's some mammal dung. It's okay, it's been drying out for several years, I'm sure. Not too dirty. You basically do that. You just walk along and you're doing what we call prospecting. You're looking for bits of bone that are eroding out of the surface. A lot of folks seem to have the impression that we as paleontologists just pick a random spot somewhere and start digging and hope for the best. That is not how we do things. You'd never find anything that way. So you do what we call prospecting. You walk along, you look at the ground, and you're picking up little bits of, hopefully, what turn out to be bone. If you identify some bone, you try and find the source of it, you dig in, and hopefully you get an associated skeleton. That's prospecting. That's what Jim Kirkland and Don DeBlue were doing out here back in around 2005 or so, when they discovered some of these sites out here. And it turns out this entire valley floor is just littered with different dinosaur sites, just all over the place. Just dinosaur bone beds. It's kind of a magical place. So once you do that, and you find what seems to be an associated skeleton, then you start digging in, like we're doing here under these shade tarps. So this is a pretty hot climate. You know, our high today was like 103 degrees or something like that, according to my thermometer. So it's really important to have shade. We work during the daytime, often during the hardest part of the day, from 9 to 5. And so it's really good to have shade. So you dig in, you try and kind of dig from the top down. So like, you know you've got a skeleton there because you found multiple bones. You very carefully dig around them. And then you expand the quarry as you go and as you continue to find new things. So over here, see, Ethan's got a number of bones that he's working with right here. So he'll find a bone and he'll expose the aerial extent of it. So you're basically digging from the top down. You know, you never dig in from the side because then you create all kinds of tunnels and rat holes and stuff, and bone can fall apart. You want to dig from the top down. And then once you find some bones and you trench around them, you can create a field jacket, which is what Ethan is in the middle of doing right this instant. So you take strips of plaster-soaked burlap, or in this case, these little mini medical bandages that we have called gypsonas, and you're building a protective cocoon around that bone. So these things have been in the ground for 140 plus million years, and once you get them there on the surface, they can start to weather. So you really want to get this protective jacket around them ASAP. And this is also how you get them out of the ground. So you're kind of, you know, making sure that everything is nice and socked in at the top, nice and snug, and that way you can dig underneath a little bit. You can flip the thing over without it crumbling, and then you do the jacketing on the underside too, so you get it fully cocooned in there. So you'll see some of these earlier. That's one that Jim or Don was working on. This one with the Optivisor on top and that paintbrush and that awl. So that is a jacket that needs to have a bottom slip put onto it. You know, you need to cap that one, get it fully cocooned. But that's how we get these things safely back to the laboratory. And there's still some rock around them too. The rock helps to hold it in place, keep it from crumbling. Yeah. And, Dyson Dinosaur, how are you doing? Welcome back. Good to have you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. And, hopefully everybody can still see and hear me. Anywho. Then, you know, once the season is over, or once we have some people going back today, Don is going back to Salt Lake today, and he took a bunch of these jackets and specimens with him. These fully cocooned fossils like that. We bring them back to the laboratory, and then you use a cast cutter, some kind of saw. You open up the jacket, and use various tools in the lab to chip away all that rock. Make sure you consolidate the bone, use lots of PVA glue and stuff like that to keep it from falling apart. And then you build like a little cradle for it for some of these larger, more delicate bones. that can't support their own weight. You build a nice little, form-fitting cradle, and that way it can sit on a museum shelf for decades or centuries into the future, where it could be studied by paleontologists. Maybe it'll be put up on display in the public part of the museum. Yeah, that's why we do this, Sometimes when I'm streaming from the field, people will ask me, like, oh, well, how much are you getting paid to dig up this dinosaur? How much are you going to sell it for? And that's not what paleontology is about. Paleontologists don't really sell fossils like that. That's not the idea. We're collecting these things for science. There are exceptions to that, but for the most part, this is not for fortune and glory. This is for, the pursuit of human knowledge. We're digging these things up to help us understand the history of life on Earth and our place in it. It gives us context that no other field of science really can. Paleontology tells us what the living things were in different time periods leading up to today. It's vitally important stuff, Imagine if we as human beings had no idea of what came before us. If we were just completely ignorant of all that. How much more impoverished our existence would be, To have that perspective is something priceless. And that's what we're trying to help build here. Let's see. Anyway, and how does ownership of the bones work? Do they go to local state museum? So these bones, like I said earlier, we're digging up on federal public land, administered by the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM. So we have to have special permits to be able to dig here. We'll get site visits. We got a BLM official show up the other day. Emily, she was pretty cool. She's a paleontologist with the Bureau of Land Management. So she was checking on us, making sure everything was good. And I think she just wanted to hang out too, because she realizes that what we're doing out here is really cool. It was cool to have her here. Anyway, point is, these fossils are on federal land, so they belong to we the people, We as Americans collectively own this land. It belongs to all of us. It's the same with the fossils too. And as a result, those fossils need to be in a public repository. They need to be in a museum where they can be studied by the current generation of paleontologists and future generations too. And in a public museum, they can often be displayed to the public also. Think of us as public servants in a way, as paleontologists, because we're digging these things up for you, This is part of our collective natural heritage as Americans. This is something to be really proud of. So that's one of the reasons I'm so proud to be out here working, Yeah. And for me, says Trappy Jenkins, oh yeah, for all of you. But yeah. And very funny, hey Key. Yeah. Doing a great job. Thank you, Cliff. I appreciate that. Yeah. And Tone Rebellion got a great question. What do you think about the hypothesis that Allosaurids used their tooth rows as impact weapons, hatchet strikes, possibly grazed flesh from giant sauropods? I don't know. That always felt like it was a little tentative, like a little tenuous. I don't know. When you're thinking about Allosaurus in particular, Allosaurus is from just before these dinosaurs that we're digging up, by the way. Allosaurus went extinct like just before these guys. About 145 million years ago. We're digging dinosaurs up that are about 142 million years ago. So, just afterward. Yeah, Allosaurus is like maybe the most common dinosaur in Utah, like we were talking about yesterday. And from every indication, it seems to be like a generalist predator. You get other big theropod dinosaurs in the Morrison Formation, like Ceratosaurus and Torvosaurus. And they're possibly more specialized. Allosaurus is probably just kind of a jack-of-all-trades kind of big predator, just doing whatever. I don't think they were specialized in eating sauropods or stegosaurs or camptosaurs or nanosaurus or anything else. I think they're doing just about everything. So did they use their jaws like hatchets to attack their prey? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to imagine how exactly that would work when you've also got a lower jaw there too. Like, you can't swing your lower jaw out of the way to use your upper jaw as a hatchet. I don't know. And we don't really have very many modern animals that you could use as an analogy for that kind of thing. How many hatchet-jawed big predators do we have walking around today? I don't know. Maybe like a shoebill or something like that, but they don't even have teeth, so they're probably a bad analogy. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how plausible it is, and I don't know how you go about testing that kind of idea either, you know? But that being said, I've never actually worked on allosaurids, so I don't have a horse in that fight. Who cares what I think, you know? It's outside my wheelhouse. And thank you, Miss Yvette. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah. And Bluboftar says, have you found any other things while digging for dinosaurs? Absolutely, yeah. Lots of other fossil critters. Fossil fishes, lizards, amphibians, fossil invertebrates, elasmobranchs, shark teeth, ray teeth, teeth of like guitar fish-like critters, stuff like that. Found bits of amber, lots of bits of plants. Fossils are not just dinosaurs. I want to make that very clear. I know we talk a lot about dinosaurs here, and that's what we're here for. But dinosaurs are just the tip of the iceberg. Even in this environment, even in a world ruled by dinosaurs, you had so many other critters. Champsosaurs and crocodiles and turtles, to name just a few. Also very important components of this ecosystem, or various ecosystems from North America, from the age of the dinosaurs. So all that stuff is important. And when we were working in the Almond Formation of Wyoming back in June, remember those streams from Turtle Hill? All of those different pieces of, turtles and crocodiles and fishes. Oh man, the fish fossils from there. Exquisite. These bowfin fish. Like big predatory fish, like 10 feet long. Someone with teeth like this. Yeah. Important, interesting, exciting, scientifically valuable stuff. It's not just dinosaurs, As much as I love them, and as much as they are my thing, I've got to admit, dinosaurs are just the tip of the iceberg. And what's the most common fossil to find? It depends where you are, Megan. Every different environment, are you digging in terrestrial environments with like critters that lived on land? Are you digging in ocean bottom sediments, marine strata? The most common fossils in those environments are going to vary with what kind of environments they are. So it really depends, site to site, place to place, formation to formation, etc. Yeah. It's funny, I feel like so many of the questions that I answer kind of have that same answer. Like, well, it depends on the circumstance, Yeah. But that's life, But yeah. And Aribo says, the scary thing is with the fish, we don't know what descendants are still in the darker depths of the undiscovered ocean floor. Kind of, Aribos. I mean, not to rain on anybody's parade, but there have been some major extinction events of like, super deep faunas. And so sometimes down there the slate just gets wiped clean and like everything dies in the deep ocean. And I think that's happened a couple times during the Cenozoic, during the age of mammals. So I think a lot of those critters are actually fairly new in the grand scheme of things. And even, fishes like the coelacanth, the two existing extant species of coelacanth, they don't even live super deep. In fact, they may have started off as kind of shallower water guys, and then they went deep fairly recently. So yeah, I don't know. Jim would be the guy to talk to about this. But yeah. And Quixotic Odyssey says, it's strange to imagine Earth with a completely different collection of species on it. Is it? I think that's the most normal thing in the world. Life doesn't stay the same. It changes. As conditions on our planet change, you get whole groups that go extinct. You get new groups that evolve to replace them. The groups that stick around are also constantly changing. That's, the history of life on Earth is just constant change. Nothing stays the same. you look around today and things might seem fairly static during a human lifespan, but we live for an incomprehensible short amount of time compared to the history of life on Earth. You know, there's been life on our planet for about 4 billion years. You know, 80 years of a human lifespan is nothing compared to that. Again, that's the perspective that paleontology gives us. That's why this is so important. Yeah. And Ma Will says 99.9 repeating % of all species on Earth are extinct. Just about, yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's interesting to think about. Yeah. And if they didn't go extinct, they evolved into something else, you know? Yeah. It's pretty cool to imagine. Yeah. Find it hard to get my head around the fact that garden birds in America are very different from the ones I know in Europe. There you go, Nanani. Yeah. So what you would call a robin, like a European robin, completely different from an American robin. They're from different families. Like, they're different kinds of critter. The American robin is actually kind of thrush. And the European robin is related to, what, sparrows or something? I don't actually know. But yeah, it's biogeography, baby. You know, that's one of those things that we study as paleontologists. How did these different groups of organisms get to these different places? You know, why is that? What's the story there? That's what we're trying to uncover as fossil scientists. Yeah, makes you realize your problems aren't that big. There you go, Dasher Fernando. Yeah, for sure. You know, when you've got that perspective, when you think about, you know, these animals running around doing their thing 142 million years ago. This is, as Jim says, likely a recovery fauna. There was a big extinction event that happened just prior to this, and like most of your big Jurassic dinosaurs just get wiped out. We don't really know why yet, but Jim thinks it might have been an asteroid impact at the Jurassic Cretaceous boundary. So, one way of like kind of studying that idea is to dig in these rocks that are from the very beginning of the Cretaceous, you know? And there may be a few critters that survived that made it from the Jurassic fauna into the early Cretaceous here, from the Morrison into the Cedar Mountain Formation. Maybe Camptosaurus survived and its descendants are something that we're digging up here. Maybe the Ankylosaurs, like Gargoylosaurus. You know, maybe they have descendants in this formation, but we don't really know yet. We don't have a clear enough picture. That's why this work is so important. We're trying to figure out this pattern of extinction, try and figure out what happened there. And again, that lens perspective, you know, it can maybe show us that, like, oh shoot, asteroid impacts are not as rare as we might think, and they might trigger extinction events more often than you might imagine too. Another reason to, you know, fund space programs and keep an eye out for asteroids. We can avoid our own extinction. You know, this perspective is important. And Salt Pastelin says, so asteroids have wiped out species more than once? Most certainly, yes. But they may have caused like big extinction events more than once. Yeah. The Morokweng impact, Morokweng, Morokweng, is something that Jim is increasingly convinced may have caused that big extinction event at the end of the Jurassic and paved the way for these critters that we're digging up here. These seem to have ties to European faunas. So like a lot of the same dinosaurs that we're seeing here, you know, we're seeing the same general kinds over in Europe around the same time. And so these guys might be European immigrants that walked across a land bridge from Europe into North America. Maybe because there's just a big vacuum left by all the species going extinct in North America when that asteroid impacted. You know, we're kind of at the very forefront of this in the very beginning. Like, we don't know very much yet about this particular time and place. Which is, again, why this work is so exciting. Like, we could, you know, over the course of an afternoon, discover a stegosaur bone here. And we'd be like, holy cow, stegosaurs did not go extinct at the end of the Jurassic in North America. They hung on into the early Cretaceous. And like, just the discovery of a single bone like that could change the way that we think about these different groups of dinosaurs and their rise and fall and everything else. So it's, like I said, it's cutting edge stuff. Yeah. And I'll see you later, Blood God. Thank you for being here. Yeah. And Nimram says, hoping the clouds clear tonight. There's an asteroid show, or a meteorite shower. Very, very cool. I hope we can see that. And Nazun says, can you elaborate on what you mean when you say formation? And yeah, it is basically a lay of rock in a certain location in a certain time period. So a geological formation is, it represents like an ancient environment. So, you know, it's not like, oh, there's a rock formation standing right there, you know, like a hoodoo or something. A geological formation. That's not what we're talking about. When we're talking about a geological formation, it's like a band of rocks that's contiguous over a certain area, and it represents a certain time and a certain place. So, like, you'll see the same fauna of animals in there throughout a geological formation. So you've got, like, well, for instance here, the Cedar Mountain Formation. You've got dinosaurs from the early Cretaceous. Dinosaurs and lots of other critters, too. Everything from plants to turtles. All in the Cedar Mountain. And you can have different members of a formation, too. So, like, bands of rock, the ones at the bottom are the earliest, and you move up through time, and they get younger and younger. In the Cedar Mountain Formation, there's a number of different members. We're in the lower Yellowcat right here. So, and there might be as many as 5 different dinosaur faunas in the lower Yellowcat. Let me get some water, and I'll show you a diagram that Jim put together that helps explain this kind of thing. And, whoops. Hans Peter says, is it true that the predecessors of today's mammals, pretty much dominant species after dinosaurs, got wiped out of... So dinosaurs were not wiped out by fungi. No. That part's definitely incorrect. But it is true that mammals existed for pretty much the entire age of the dinosaurs, and they didn't get to take over until after all the dinosaurs went extinct, except for a handful of bird species. Yeah. But no, I've never heard the fungi idea before. That's... I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that. And body core temperature, you know, dinosaurs were warm-blooded too. So many of them would have had body temperatures higher than that of mammals, especially during the Mesozoic. So, you know, they're like, you know, like modern birds. A lot of them have core temperatures that are higher than those of mammals in the same environment. Yeah, here, let's get down here into the quarry. We'll get some water and then I'll show you that diagram. Set the camera down over here. How's everything going in here?
Fine.
Cool. All right. Have you ever heard that idea, Fisher? It's the first time I've heard it. That, like, oh, there was a big, like, bloom of fungus at the end of the Cretaceous, and the dinosaurs died from that, but mammals who have higher body temperatures, they could survive.
I've never heard of that.
I haven't either. Yeah. It's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's grounded in any kind of reality. Yeah. Yeah. This is a graphic that Jim put together. Dinosaurs of Utah. This might be a little bit out of date, but I wish this were larger. There's so much to fit into this diagram. We're working in the Cedar Mountain Formation right here, which comprises about 40 million years of time. It's nuts. Maybe 45. But yeah, within that you've got different members. The Mustn't Touch It up here, we streamed from there last week. Ruby Ranch member, Poison Strip, Upper Yellowcat and Lower Yellowcat. We're working at the very bottom of the Lower Yellowcat right here. And these are some of the dinosaurs that are known from this particular horizon. Yurgavuchia, Mierosaurus. Well, we've also got these guys that are not named yet. A new Carnosaur, probably Carcharodontosaur, Iguanocolossus, and another new iguanodont. That's the critter we're working on here. Maybe Utah Raptor? There's another dinosaur called Yurgavuchia from here too. So, yeah, anyway, Utah's got an incredible dinosaur record, arguably the greatest of any U.S. state, and so we're pretty lucky to be here. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, Miss Caprico. Triassic. Well, actually, they wouldn't be snake fossils if they're from the Triassic. Snakes don't evolve until the Cretaceous. So it'd be something else. But that's pretty cool. Large group hibernation. Yeah, 38 million years ago would be solidly in the Cenozoic, in the age of mammals. So, shoot, 38 million years ago, would that be like Miocene?
Eocene.
Eocene.
Miocene, I believe, is 23 to about, like, 5.
Gotcha. I forget how long the Eocene is. It's nuts.
Yeah, the Eocene is, like, 50-something to, like, 34, 35.
Huh. Thanks. And Heike, how does the age of continental crust affect the study of the oldest dinosaurs? Wouldn't it all turn into magma at some point? So you're probably thinking of oceanic crust. Gets constantly recycled like that. Comes up from spreading ridges and then goes and plunges beneath continental crust. The oldest rocks we have on Earth are continental crust. And they go back, some of them like over 4 billion years. It's the oceanic crust that gets recycled. And I think the oldest oceanic crust we have anywhere in the world is like maybe from the latest Triassic period. Maybe like 210, oh, excuse me, yeah, like 210 million years ago, something like that. Almost all of it is much, much younger. Yeah. Anyway. The Hibernophus Brighthop. Oh, really? We know that guy. It sounds like Brent Breithaupt had a fossil snake named after him.
Nice.
Pretty cool. Hibernophus. It's got to be a hibernating snake. Named after Brent Breithaupt. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. Neat.
Sharpie fishing.
And Dashare says, what would your reaction be if they found a fossil on Mars?
Have it, sorry. My bad.
I mean, it would be interesting. It would show that there was once life there. So it'd be pretty cool. There have been fossils reported from Mars before, but they've always turned out to be other things. Just like quirks of the Martian geology. Yeah, I mean, that would imply, though, if they did find a fossil on Mars, that life is probably much more common throughout the universe than we realize. But, I don't know. I'm not holding out hope for that. Yeah, it'd be a big deal. But I don't know if it's going to happen. Who knows, though? It's always important to go out there and explore and... yeah. I think we had another question too. Anime Girl Down says, what are we digging up today? A new kind of iguanodont dinosaur. I feel bad for everybody else in the quarry who's got to hear me answer the same questions over and over and over again. But I hope you at home appreciate it. Hello, Tapir. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. It's good to have you here. Here, maybe we can move that camera because the sun is just catching it. There we go. Should be a little better. And Ariba says, have you guys been lucky enough to find any intact large bones, like femurs, etc.? Absolutely. We've got 2 femurs over there right now. Here, let me show you one. I'll show you the big one. And again, these are just the ones that we are excavating at present. We've got many, many more back in the laboratory from the past 3 summers. 2 summers? 3 summers? Yeah, 2 summers. So yeah, there's a big old femur right there. Might not look like much to you at home, but there it is. Big mid-shaft of the femur. The femoral head is going in that direction, under there, and then the distal end is still obscured under those rocks. But big old femur right here. A lot bigger than my femur, shoot. So that's, again, the thigh bone, if you don't know what a femur is. Pretty cool. Yeah. From a big amnimal. And we've got multiple other bones all through here. We've got these field jackets over the top of these to protect them. There's another femur right there, from a smaller critter. Much narrower. Underneath this protective jacket. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Very cool. I'm glad we can stay a little bit later in the quarry today too, because I started the stream so late. And Uncle Don is back home in Salt Lake. Back home for him. And so, yeah, we're kind of free to stay a little bit later if we want to. Which is nice. Get some more work done. Yeah. And Flash says, did you guys excavate the spot that you guys are right now? We did indeed. Yeah. You know, like Fisher just reminded us, this is our third summer in the field here. Our third summer working in this particular quarry. So everything that you're seeing here, we've been digging out for the past 3 years. Yeah. Ethan, did part of the Merosaurus quarry extend over here? Or was it all over there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, other side of the barn behind it.
I'm trying to remember what it was like when we first got here. Was it just flat and we just started digging in?
I think we built up a lot of this. We built a lot of this.
Yeah, that right there still protect it from water coming in from the wash, but
Yeah.
but like all of this in here.
Oh yeah, we dug all of this.
Yeah.
Dug.
It's funny, I've only the vaguest recollections of what it looked like that first summer in 2022.
Hard to remember.
Yeah, we were all just little babies back then. Just tiny babies. Yeah, back then, Chad, I must have been, what, 21 and single? Imagine that. Lilith Spartan says, that guy's hat is huge, by the way. Thank you.
Fisher's, right?
Yeah.
Fisher's hat is huge.
Yeah. There's more water in here. And Napalm Pop-Tart says, thank you for the work you do. I've learned so much just in the few weeks I've been following the stream. Napalm Pop-Tart, thank you for your kind words and for your wonderful username, too. And for subscribing, also. See that sub badge next to your name? Thank you for your support. Yeah. And Yogurt Girl, you're welcome for the raid yesterday. I hope the rest of your stream went well. How did your Lego Kingfisher turn out? It looked pretty neat. Did you end up finishing that? And Aribus, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed Sculptress. That's a cool program. It's frankly a lot better in my opinion than ZBrush. Which is like the, professional version. And that's from when Pixelogic was still Pixelogic before they got bought by that parent company where, if you sign up for the subscription plan for a month, they'll charge you in perpetuity even after you cancel. I'm fighting with them right now to try to get refunded for the past, 2 years. After they had a change of ownership, they, overhauled their billing system or something. And so, I was not signed up, but I was still getting charged $40 a month. So, yeah. Big anti-endorsement to, what are they called? Maxon Inc. or something? Can't stand that sort of thing. Scams left and right. And your girl says half the bird is built. Nice. Still need to get the head together. Cool. Yeah. Siasync says, yeah, Maxon is just one giant scam. Yeah. It's almost right there in the name. Should make it Max Scam. I need to drink more water. These are stupid jokes. And let's see. Ubiquitous says, you guys use some kind of 3D profiling or modeling, like using photogrammetry? Not here, although in Wyoming we were doing some of that. Ethan found this awesome application called Scaniverse that uses the camera and LiDAR to create beautiful 3D models of the quarry and stuff like that, and that's been super, super neat. But here we use old-fashioned paper maps. Because this is such a big quarry and because it changes so much day to day, photogrammetry wouldn't really help that much. And so, instead, we do it the old-fashioned way like this, mapping everything that we find onto this grid system in here. And that way, year to year,
some ground beef and some sausages.
it can also, it's all consistent and everything.
Ground beef and some sausages. Just the list that I sent. Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And you're welcome, Ubiquitous, yeah. Yeah. I don't know, photogrammetry is really, really useful.
Wow.
In generating 3D models of fossils. It's another thing that Jim is really fond of saying is 3D modeling, 3D figures and papers, that's the future. Not just photographs of specimens, but downloadable 3D models so that you can look at each of these specimens in 3D, rotate them around, and just kind of see them in detail from all angles, and potentially 3D print them too. I agree. That's going to be a new big thing in paleontology. It's already trending in that direction. Yeah. Does that match up to the topo maps, says Nimrod? So we've got a whole total station system going on out here. We've got these bits of, we've got these stakes that are hammered down that are just here year round. So we've got a consistent grid year after year after year. We can make sure that all of our different maps from different years all line up perfectly. Because we're working off the same grid system. And that's got to be tied to GPS or something like that too initially. But The important thing is like internal consistency. That like all the maps that we make are working off of the same grid system. And yeah, the bones of this dinosaur, these dinosaurs, there's multiple individuals spread out all over the place, disarticulated. Good question, Melinda. Yeah. Change our category to just chatting. See if we can bring some other people in here too. Yeah. Yeah, this is an all, indeed. Right there. Good eyes. And Care Bear Bonfire says, what's a bad habit that a paleontologist could be guilty of?
Field prepping.
Field prepping is a good one, Fisher, yeah. Field prepping is when you remove too much of the rock around a fossil while you're in the field. You know, you're doing like the sort of precise laboratory work that should be done under controlled conditions in the lab, and you're doing it out here in the field. Like you risk damaging stuff. That's definitely a bad habit. Yeah. Let's see, other bad habits. Yeah, that's probably the best answer right there. That's a good one. I don't know.
That while I was guilty of something.
Guess we're looking out for us, Fisher.
Called out. I speak from experience. I do it all the time. I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call my hole.
Okay.
You guys trying to stay longer?
I'm done to be done.
Yeah,
So.
I can wrap up too.
Yeah.
This is just... I found a nice theropod tooth earlier, and that's the only thing I found all day. Probably, yeah.
Lit.
Yeah, I took a picture of it so you can see later.
Heck yeah.
The tip came off, but I think it came off as I was removing the piece. It was like, zoop, like that. And I couldn't find it anywhere. Try as I might. But it's pretty good. Here, let me show you a picture.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a chunky guy.
It's like that.
That's pretty big. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
There's no reason to cover there's still like a 0% chance of rain, so
Excellent. All right.
we'll just put pillows on the bones.
Before we head out, Ethan, you want to take a look at this thing I found?
Cool.
I don't know if it's... It looks like bone.
Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up, chat.
That's definitely bone, yeah, looks pretty important. It's really close to this one.
It's pretty terrible. That might just be plant spread. Too.
I don't know, looks neat. Could be a cool plant thing. This is a nice bird.
Yeah.
Any sign of that tension yet?
I don't think so, no. I mean, I guess potentially it could be like in here.
Yeah. There we go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. After I get this out of one
Okay. Well, it's time for us to wrap this up. Get back to camp and get myself a cold drink. Looking forward to that. You're filthy, chat. Let me get this dust off you. Yeah, and then with any luck, he's streaming again from here tomorrow. And maybe I'll find some more bones. That tooth is pretty cool to find. Glad I got to show you that. Always exciting when you find a theropod tooth. Like, you know, that's the business end of the animal. He was using that for, but you know, just biting, acquiring prey, ripping stuff apart. And now here it is, you know? 142 million years later. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. It's a charismatic little fossil to find. And it's got potential to tell us about, you know, what sorts of critters were living in this environment. Maybe you can even run isotopic studies on that. Anyway, pretty cool. Let's see who else is here on Twitch right now. Doing some Twitch stuff. And we'll see whom we can raid into on this, what is it? Monday afternoon. Monday evening. Monday whatever. Let's see. It looks like Science Streams is doing some microscopy Monday. Let's go ahead and raid into Science Streams and see what Balint is up to there. So Balint is a molecular and systems biologist who streams here on Twitch, doing all kinds of different science, live, and answering your questions. Balint's a good friend of mine. I think you're really going to like him if you haven't met him yet. So, raid Science Streams. There we go. Excellent. Good stuff. And you raid them a lot? I definitely do, Cactus Jack. You know, trying to lift up other science streamers here on Twitch as well. We're all one big happy family in the science community, and I'm doing my best to help promote the idea of scientific education on this platform, you know? And Balint is, Science Streams is absolute top shelf, top notch, as good as we can get in terms of science. Real life scientists doing science live on Twitch. Can't beat that. Anyway, thank you everybody for your viewership today, for your enthusiasm and your questions as always. Thank you to everybody who supported this channel financially. You are the reason why I can be here, why I can do this, and I'm eternally grateful. So thank you for that. And thank you to the moderators for helping keep this train on its tracks, with your attention and your understanding and kind-heartedness too. Appreciate that very much. Anyway, hope to catch you again tomorrow for another Dinosaur Dig live stream. But until then, you all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Let's go check out Science Streams.